Have a good battle, friend.
We Grandmasters is back. Week 1 has concluded. It was Conquest. Yes, it's in the notes. It was Conquest.
Yes, this week was Conquest. Next week was next week is Last Hero Standing, and then after that is Specialist. So they're doing the same thing that they did last time, where we get 1 week of each different like standard format. And then after that, we're going to get into the, different pools A and B and all the round robin-y stuff and everything else. But this is the 3 weeks of seeding at the start of the season. So I am really sorry, you guys. I've had an insanely busy week at work. I was unable to watch or recap APac or EU. So all I've got for you is Americas, but we have a lot to talk about in Americas because Americas is drama.
It is full of it.
Yes.
So do we want to lead with that? Because I know chat room's like waiting for it.
Sure, we might as well. So essentially what happened this weekend in Americas, first of all, I mean, they've been playing since Wednesday. They played Wednesday all the way through until Sunday. There was a lot of player fatigue. And the problem with Americas is that it comes after both other regions, which means that all of APac has to play out, then all of EU has to play out, and then we get to Americas. And the reason that they do that is basically because they want a kind of concurrent live broadcast so that, there's nothing pre-recorded, everything just runs into everything else. And so it gets to be a pretty hectic and hefty schedule, as well as being quite variable, shall we say. So with that in mind,
I was gonna use a more technical term and call it random ass.
Okay, yeah, we can go. Yeah, random ass works too.
Okay.
But basically what happened was Firebat was disqualified on Sunday because he did not show up in time for his match. Well, he showed up in time for his match scheduled time. However, he didn't show up in time for check-in, which there's a kind of a really big difference there. And we've also just found out Eddie as well, though he showed up and played his match, he has been also fined as a result of this. So basically Eddie also missed check-in. And so the thing is, the check-in times are set prior to everything, and you guys can go through Firebat's tweets. There's been tweets from TJ as well from the Hearthstone rules perspective, and showing timestamps and what the players are told and everything else. So I mean, it's not that the players were unaware of the rules. It's just that, and that's kind of more of the conversation that I want to have, is not necessarily did Firebat, should he have been fined? Should he have been disqualified? Blah, blah, blah. Because, yeah, he broke the rules. He should have been fined. He should have been disqualified. Rules are rules. They have rules for a reason. Now, are the rules good rules? I think that's more important, because the thing is, with the way that things played out, the Saturday games of Grandmasters for the Americas were 5 hours behind. They finished at 1 a.m. It was super, super late. And the schedule was just crazy. And then they had a check-in time at 10:30 in the morning. And so there was time in between. However, with everything being so variable, with the schedules being all over the place, I think they kind of looked at the check-in time and went, ugh, because the thing is, they check in so early in the morning, their matches may not be scheduled for hours later, and then the other regions might run long and everything else. And so with the variable schedule, it does get to be super frustrating, and I get it. But at the same time, it's your job, be professional, which is kind of where I fall on this, is you were given the rules, whether you agree that they're good rules or bad rules, your check-in time is 10:30, check in, it's your job.
Yeah. I agree with that to a certain degree. But as someone who thinks you're being punished if you watch it live, I don't think making it even harder to know when that shit it's going to be live is an enticing way to go about this season.
Yeah. So the thing is, that is what I feel like is kind of the other piece of like, that's the more interesting conversation to have, I think, is like, does the live broadcast actually work well for viewers? Does it work well for players? I personally think that there's no reason why they can't have set match times behind the scenes, have the players play it out, put an embargo, NDA, whatever you want to call it, on results, and just say, you know, like record the matches and then show the matches to the commentators, because it's not like the players can read Twitch chat, the players can't hear the commentators or anything else. There's literally no, and they don't do, the other piece of it too is ever since Blitzchung, they don't do interviews with winners afterwards anyways. So there's no value to having the players actually playing their matches live. You could pre-record all of that and just have the casters cast it once it becomes time in the broadcast. That way the players have more stability. The players have a set time when they know that they have to check in and they know that they have to play their games. It's all said and done. And then if you want to have this long, huge, crazy concurrent broadcast, like, kind of sucks for the casters, because basically they've got different casting teams in different regions as well. Like, those guys' schedules are all over the place too. But have you ever seen a caster not show up for a broadcast because they're 5 hours behind? No, because it's their job.
Yes. Yes to all of that. So yeah, and you know, I there's not one way I think is necessarily the right way to go. Like, not doing it live is one way. I lean that way because I'm with you. I'm like, well, does it matter if any of this is live? No. Well, then why is it? Why are we bothering? Like, so, and I realize, you know, it could become, there's all kinds of things that get in the way, especially when you're like, well, what's going to happen? Are you still going to like trust that? Are you going to let trust players to record their own games? You're going to edit it after the fact. There's all kinds of considerations there. But really my thought is just, I'm not so certain that like this is the best way to do it. Like, especially, and it is, as you mentioned, it's unique casting teams. So why run it back to back? Why does it need to be that way? You're already, frankly, taking a loss by being on YouTube in the first place.
Well, yeah.
Like, just to be blunt, like, I watch probably more YouTube than I do Twitch. I'm weird like that. I'm a boomer. But
and I'm the total opposite. Everything I watch is Twitch, except for when Hearthstone forces me over to YouTube.
yeah. But like, freaking just have NA start at a certain time on the certain days. Like, why have this variable? So like, I think it's, I hate to say both sides, but really, I think both sides have a good argument. Like Firebat's taking it as he should. Like, he knew the rules and didn't adhere to them. But like, I don't know, like, if this is supposed to be the big draw, if this is supposed to be like the collection of the best and the biggest star power in Hearthstone, I don't know, maybe treat them like it a little bit. Like, maybe treat them like the celebrities you're trying to put them on the pedestal of.
I don't know about that, dude. I don't know about that. I am not down for like diva behavior.
Oh,
like,
no.
I'm not reward that.
I'm not saying reward Firebat for not showing up. I'm saying don't have the system in place to be obnoxious in the first place. Like, why have such a variance on your start time? There's absolutely no need for it other than to be inconvenient.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, well, we'll just let it go this time because you're so famous, Firebat. I'm just saying, like, why are you putting these players in this place anyway? Why do you think Dog isn't in GM anymore? It's not worth Dog's time. Dog can make more money and have a more convenient life elsewhere. And that's just going to continue. Like, here we are. I don't know. How many years have we had at Hearthstone Esports? 6?
Many.
6? 6th year in a row of Hearthstone Esports being kind of a joke, like, and not being taken seriously, either by players or by the fans or by the multi-billion-dollar studio that puts it together.
No, dude, like, I completely agree. Like, I really don't understand why they, like, again, you run the broadcast whenever you want to run the broadcast, but I don't understand, especially when we are in a situation where everything is virtual. I don't understand why we're not pre-recording this stuff. I don't understand why we're making casters and players like wait around for hours and hours and hours for the previous regions to finish. I think it's ridiculous. Like it's a bad rule set, but that doesn't change the fact that it is the rule set. So I absolutely agree with the disqualifications. I agree with the fines. You guys signed a contract. Like that's the way jobs work. So I completely agree with Blizzard's actions in all of this. I don't think that the base rule set is a good rule set. Like, I think that they should have made some changes, and I think that they should take a look at their broadcast, even like not even waiting for, you know, the next season of Grandmasters. Like, I think this is something that they should look at and address and be ready to change now. And I think we've seen, you know, the balance team, the battlegrounds team, like everybody's been so flexible and so, you know, responsive that it would be really too bad if the esports team wasn't also responsive. Because I think it's something that needs to change. Like I am down with you guys. I agree that the rules behind this are bad, but I think that, you know, all of these players had the same option as Dog. They could have walked away. They didn't have to play in Grandmasters, but they signed a contract and these are the rules of the contract. They've been public forever. Like this is the way that Grandmasters has worked. It might be stupid, but it's not new.
Nothing more to add.
All right, then. So to get to the actual gameplay and not the ridiculous drama. So we talked a little bit about it when we were talking about the change to mind render a few minutes ago. But one thing in America is that even the casters highlighted as well was the amount of priest bans. It seemed like players just really didn't want to play matches against priest, because the games go long, there's so much variance, there's so much value and crazy generation of stuff that they would rather just, instead of playing like against priest that has this amazing amount of variance that you have to deal with and you have to predict, just play against something else that you know its game plan and you know its cards. Which again, we talked with Mind Render that maybe priest needs a look, because to me, if I'm going into a game, if I'm looking at the top level of my esport, I don't want to be picking stuff because they're a pain in the butt to play against. Like I want to be banning things that are like going to go against my strategy or are the most powerful thing. And, you know, like that's the way, at least to me, bans should be used. So if players are banning decks just because there's too much variance and they're, you know, they're not strong, they're just annoying, that's not a great, that means priest to me is not in a great place.
I agree. Like everyone knows my thoughts on priest. I'm not gonna continue to beat the priest horse.
Well, it seems, yeah, but it seems like the GMs are very much agreeing with you at this point in time. Now, not everybody banned priest, but there were more priest bans, I think, in Americas at least. So, again, no EU8 and no APac, but
putting on my devil's advocate pants, which are fabulous pants, by the way. Maybe the meta is in a decent enough spot that you can afford to just ban what you don't feel like playing against.
Maybe, you know, maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Sure. You know, if you're getting into a point where your deck is just powerful or your lineup is just powerful and you can basically compete against whatever your opponent throws at you, and you have the luxury of just banning stuff that doesn't interest you as an opponent, maybe that is a good place. I don't know. Honestly, I would really like you guys to write in and know what you think about bans, because this was the first time in a long time I can remember people banning stuff for it's not fun to play against. There's too much variance. Like, I don't like that I can't predict the outcome. Normally bans are just, this is the objectively strongest deck and I'm either banning it or I'm building a lineup around beating it. And so we're in this, like, this is the first time I can remember where bans have been based on, you know, card generation, variance and value and game length and those kind of factors. So yeah, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It's not what we're used to for sure. And so, yeah, we've already talked a lot about Priest today. So it's just bringing up very similar feelings that I had to when we had our mind render conversation of just like, I think they're doing interesting things and I think we do need to take some time with it, but still, anyways,
there was also another new, at least new to me, archetype. I hadn't seen this before, and it's the Turtlemage. It's the Tortollan with the spell that I can't remember the name of that gives you 1/1 copies of things, and the idea is you're hoping that spell stays in your deck, and you just keep getting 1/1 Tortollan dudes over and over again. It's such a weird deck. And Muzzy 3-0'd it playing against Eddie, but then I saw Eddie play it and actually like win games with it. And I was just like, what is this deck? I still don't quite get it, other than it just seems like you're hoping your opponent gives up. Like they just have enough. It's just, I don't know. It's bleh. I didn't find it very fun to watch. It was like, he wasn't ever really doing anything. He was just not dying, I guess.
I mean, yeah, it's still doing a lot of freezy things. I mean, they don't go as far as running Blizzard, which you know, you were talking about like the New Age freeze mage deck last week. But you know, mages they're making friends with like Chinvala and Brain Freeze and Ray of Frost right now. Like that is definitely in the majority of mage decks at the moment. There's the Tortollan kind of variant that you're talking about. I didn't think Muzzies ran the Tortollan.
No, it doesn't. Muzzy, so Eddie only had the Turtlemage deck left, and then Muzzy 3-0'd it with his 3 decks.
Gotcha.
So
he was playing,
Eddie got his other 2 wins, and then Muzzy was like, "This deck is stupid. Win."
Muzzy's playing like the tempo mage that is quite the hotness right now. But yeah, the Tortollan mage deck is wild. I was seeing a lot of Twitter chatter around it. So. Give it a shot, because it is a nutty deck.
It's so weird. It's like to the point that there were games that Eddie was playing it. I think it was the first game that we actually saw it on stream, and he basically drew both copies of that 4-mana spell, and I really wish I remembered the name of it, but like he drew both copies and they're like, he can't win now. I was like, what is this deck? Like, what is going on? It's nuts. And when it gets going, it's kind of crazy to see it get going, but yeah. It's just weird, man.
Yep.
If you guys haven't seen it, go look for it. It's Turtlemage. It has the Tortollan Pilgrims and this 4-mana make 1/1 spells. Potion of Illusion. Thank you, chat room. Potion of Illusion. So yeah, go look for decks that run those 2 and see if you can figure it out. And go and watch Eddie playing it, because it was just crazy. One other thing that I noticed, not necessarily that I noticed like watching the players, but that I noticed the casters commenting on, and it kind of like, it was starting to really anger me, was that the casters were talking so much. And I mean, it's definitely their job to talk about how to play the deck, talk about potential misplays, talk about lethals and everything else. But I thought that they were coming down on the players really, really hard, considering it was America's, considering, you know, they were playing so late and like so long into the night and everything else. It was within a week or whatever of the expansion launching. Like, they basically didn't have a ton of practice time. They were super fatigued because, again, they had this whole Swiss round they've been playing since Wednesday. Like, I think there were very valid reasons for players not making like the perfect ideal plays. And it wasn't just that the casters were calling them out. The casters were really coming down on them. And I was like, dudes, calm down, man. Like, cut them some slack. That was just how I felt as a viewer anyways. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but the casters were mean this week.
It didn't stick out to me. Maybe we watched different games. It's always kind of something.
Like I had it on in the background too, so mostly I was just listening to the audio as opposed to actually being able to watch the actual game. And so like all I've got in my ears is the casters being like, misplay, these guys are supposed to be the best. Why?
I love that.
It's like they didn't try at all.
I love that today. I think we're going to end with me going, we should treat the players better, give them more reasonable schedules, and be nice to them on that regard. And you're like, no, F it. That's the rules. Just show up. But talk nicer to them. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe just play the game correctly and people won't make fun of you.
Oh man, yeah, definitely the GM conversations all over the place this week for sure. It was a crazy week in Americas.
Yeah, that's honestly, it's me more doing a bit, but I didn't really notice it. It's something I've been noticing with like StarCraft recently. Like Tasteless and Artosis totally rip on people when they're not playing right, but that game, like, it's long in the tooth now. Like StarCraft is kind of figured out. So
whereas this is a week into a new, really nutty, really powerful, crazy expansion. So I feel like, you know, if they're still making the same mistakes 3 and 4 weeks from now, sure, but you know, it's week 1. Jeez.
Hey, it's late for the casters too. Maybe they were cranky.
Maybe they were, yeah. Maybe the casters were super, super cranky. That's true.
Maybe I had a very long day, which I did. And so when we get on the subject of esports not being taken very seriously in Hearthstone, I just go, this is Hearthstone's esports. They never take it seriously. And I'm kind of over this shit. Like, I'm just kind of, I give up.
Yeah.
I give up.
But yeah, so for GM, if you guys are looking to follow it next week, or I guess this week is starting today, I guess. Oh my God, it's Wednesday already. Is the last hero standing week, and then Specialist, which Specialist is kind of interesting because you don't ban in Specialist. So yeah, we'll have to see. It could just be the week of Priest. And I'll be honest, if everyone brings Priest to Specialist, I might not watch.
Oh yeah, I do not want to watch a ton of Priest mirrors. I wouldn't mind a few, because that's a crazy mirror matchup. But
yeah, but not the whole weekend.
No, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's GM in a very, very, very large nutshell.
Yeah, shielded conquest would be interesting again to introduce a little more Priest play, but maybe not too much of it. But you know, we'll see how it